Not sure which GPU pairs best with your Intel Core i9-14900K? The i9-14900K is the fastest processor from Intel to date after the 14900KS. This is certainly not something aimed at budget users, and you're going to need to pair it up with an equally powerful GPU to make the most of it, be it for gaming or any other work. In this video, I review the two best GPUs you can buy for your i9-14900K. Trust me, you'll want to stay with me till the end to make a wise and informed decision. Price information and all GPUs mentioned in the video are available in the description, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's get started. Best Premium GPU for Intel Core i9-14900K, MSI GeForce RTX 4090 Gaming X Trio. The MSI GeForce RTX 4090 Gaming X Trio, since its launch in 2022, has established itself as one of the best cards you can buy, at a price. Powering the best offering from the NVIDIA RTX 40 series, this card uses the AD102 graphics processor, coming with 16,384 CUDA cores, 24GB GDDR6X memory, and a bus width of 384 bits. It goes without saying, this card is an absolute powerhouse, and you should expect incredible performance. Starting off with the design, the card has a triple fan design with diagonal RGB lines through the middle. At the top, it features the MSI logo in RGB, along with a solid view of the chunky heatsink used to help with the thermals of this monster. The rear view has more branding, with diagonal cuts that allow for more airflow, increasing the cooling ability of the card, all of which is embedded on a sturdy metal backplate. To help with bending and flex, the card uses a die-cast anti-bending plate, which also reinforces the thermal pads. This allows cooling to reach important components underneath the plate. What's even more impressive is the sheer performance, and that's one of the important factors. Before jumping to the performance numbers, I think it's important to discuss the clock frequency of the card. The boost clock frequency in its predecessor had been known to boost to around 1900 MHz stock. However, with the Ada Lovelace architecture, this has drastically changed, with the clock speeds jumping to 2700 MHz and higher, which is a lovely sight. Getting into the performance numbers, the MSI GeForce RTX 4090 scores around 90% more than its predecessor, the RTX 3090, in 3D Mark benchmark tests. This trend continues even in other benchmarks like Unigine Superposition, Blender, and more. In terms of gaming, the RTX 4090 is able to achieve a performance boost of 40 to 45% in various games from its predecessor, while other cards don't really come close at all. Even at 4K resolutions, with all settings maxed out, the 4090 is able to output high frame rates, averaging around 150 FPS in AAA game titles. However, it is important to note that the RTX GPU is held back at 1080p, often reducing the performance difference to a minimum. With ray tracing enabled, the card is able to provide around a 3 to 4% performance uplift from the stock 4090. Looking more closely at the cooling solution, the card features MSI's Tri-Frozer 3 thermal design, using triple Tor-X fans which improve the air pressure and flow to the heatsink. Furthermore, a nickel-plated copper baseplate captures the heat dissipated from the GPU, transferring it to a number of heat pipes that are in direct contact with the baseplate. And of course, the fans use two sets of ball bearings to improve their lifespan without any performance hit. Finally, the acoustics level of the card remains at a minimum at all times, be it in intense gaming sessions or GPU-intensive productivity work. Now, to power a chunky boy like this, the marketed minimum requirement is an 850-watt power supply, since the card has a TDP rating of 450 watts. However, I recommend using a 900-watt PSU at the very least. In addition, you're going to need a single 16-pin 12-volt high-power connector to provide power to the card. For connectivity, the card provides a single HDMI 2.1 port with 3 DisplayPort 1.4a ports. For a high-end card like this, I think DisplayPort 2 should have been included, but this should still do the job just fine. It's pretty obvious this card is an absolute beast when it comes to performance, both in gaming and other productivity tasks. You can throw pretty much anything at it and not worry about any throttles or performance issues at all. Furthermore, with overclocking, these performance metrics can be pushed even beyond the above numbers. Ratings: Design, 9 out of 10. Performance, 9.5 out of 10. Acoustics, 9 out of 10. Thermals, 9.5 out of 10. Value, 9.5 out of 10. For an overall rating of 9.3 out of 10. Best Value GPU for Intel Core i9-14900K. ASRock Radeon RX 7900 XTX Phantom Gaming. The ASRock AMD Radeon RX 7900 XTX Phantom Gaming is my choice for the best value graphics card for the Intel Core i9-14900K, both in terms of overall performance and bang for buck. Radeon RX 7900 XTX is the highest offering in the latest Navi 3 family based on RDNA 3 architecture. Starting off with the design, the ASRock Radeon RX 7900 XTX Phantom Gaming features their polychrome RGB lighting sync, creating custom synchronized ARGB effects, if that's your niche. It also provides an additional slot for an RGB device, allowing the card to control any additional RGB strips or backplates. Make sure not to connect your motherboard's RGB header or an RGB controller to the slot, as it can result in severe repercussions. ASRock has also added a thoughtful touch for those who aren't fans of RGB lighting. There's a switch near the bracket that allows you to physically turn off all the RGB lights on the card, rather than just through software. This might come in handy for those who don't want to install the ASRock RGB Sync software on their PCs. Furthermore, the card has an anti-sagging support bar on the top, which is neatly hidden and unnoticeable. As for the performance of the card, you can easily expect the performance to be on par with competitors like the RTX 4080 at a lower price point, thanks to the factory-applied overclock. This results in an average of about 4 to 5% more performance than the stock Radeon RX 7900 XTX, which can really be valuable when playing games at 4K. Now, the cooling solution for the GPU includes a striped triple fan configuration, allowing for more airflow that's guided by the air-deflecting fins of the heatsink to greatly improve the flow of air inside the GPU. All of this is further consolidated by an ultra-fit heat pipe, nano thermal paste, and premium thermal padding. During intense workloads, the temperature stays cool at a low range of 60 to 65 degrees Celsius, while the GPU hotspot touches the 80 to 85 range. This is well beneath the 110-degree juncture point where the GPU starts to thermal throttle, allowing the card to cool down. Even at high workloads, the fan sound is not very loud, and it should be unnoticeable when you're playing a game. This adds to the relatively large size of the card, standing at 330mm in length and 58mm wide, allowing it to take up to 2.8 PCIe slots. This has become sort of the sweet spot for high-end cards nowadays, as it gives adequate room for sufficient cooling solutions that prevent performance hindrances. On top of this, ASRock has provided more than adequate options for connectivity, including a single HDMI 2.1a port and 3 DisplayPort 2.1 ports. However, you can only use one DisplayPort 2.1 functionality at a time, as the rest will drive down to 1.4a. In short, the ASRock Radeon RX 7900 XTX Gaming Phantom is a great option to pair with the 14900K. Ratings: Design, 8 out of 10. Performance, 9 out of 10. Acoustics, 7 out of 10. Thermals, 8 out of 10. Value, 8 out of 10. For an overall rating of 8 out of 10. So, what do you think? Which of these is the best graphics card for you? Or do you think another GPU is better for the Intel Core i9-14900K? Tell us in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an awesome day.